Hello world, it's Birdo Prey 5 Qapla, and welcome to my review for Star Trek Discovery Season 3, Episode 9, Terra Firma, Part 1. Okay, let's get this off right out of the bat. This was not the total debacle, cluster cluck I was afraid it was going to be. Now, it's very possible Episode 2 is that giant fluster cluck, but this episode, not terribly bad. Might arguably be my favorite episode of the season. So, yeah, I have a lot of things to complain about. Don't get me wrong. There were some ridiculous and terrible decisions made. But, okay, they didn't Jesus Christ. Irrevocable. They didn't, fuck. I sound like Porky Pig. I feel like Porky Pig. They didn't mess up the Federation completely in this episode. They took some liberties, but I think nothing terrible. So let's start. The episode starts with the clip that's been out there from the Ready Room. I don't think we got this guy's name, but in the subtitles, the guy in black, this guy with the glasses, his name is Kovich. He's the man in black, as I call him. So Kovich is telling Culber that there's no cure. There's no cure. You should have just asked me first. I could have saved you a lot of trouble. That there's no cure in this galaxy, and basically because she comes from both a different time and a different universe, she's going to die. And this other guy, this time soldier, and he actually references the JJ verse. He says that this was a time soldier who crossed over into the future and from a different parallel universe where a Romulan mining ship caused a temporal incursion and started a new timeline, aka the JJ verse. Once he came to the future, he was in such pain that the Federation actually granted euthanasia because he was in such pain, and he was only a few hundred years removed and from a parallel universe. Georgiou, being 900 years removed, she's going to go through a lot worse. I don't know how it could be a lot worse than what he described, but she's going to go through a lot worse, and there's no cure. There's no way to save her, and he might as well just sedate her and put her in the brig, because when a Terran wants to die, she wants to go out in a blaze of glory and, take as many people with her as possible. Culber, that smug Wilson Cruz face of his, is like, well, let me ask our computer, because this is happening on Discovery for reasons. Because the reason is they want to ask the Discovery computer, if there's a cure, because the Discovery computer is much smarter than the Starfleet computer. And so Wilson Cruz and his smug face asks, computer, is there a solution? And the Discovery computer, who is now sentient, says, oh yeah, there is. There is one possible solution. It's a planet called Dannus Five. And the guy in black, he's like, I don't know if you should be listening to this computer. It's great for a movie night, but maybe not so great when it comes to medicine. And no, Culber's like, the computer always protected us before. It brought us together. It's what we needed. So we definitely have to listen to it now. So they go speak to Saroo and Admiral Vance, and they have Michael fetch Georgiou to bring Georgiou to them. Why didn't they just call Georgiou on the intercom? I don't know, but this is not the first time they're going to make that mistake this episode. So Michael fetches Georgiou, whose hand is going through matter. She can't pick up a glass. Looks like she's having wine at lunch, but forgetting the fact that why is she drinking from a wine glass? She can't pick up the glass because her hand just phases through it. Now, why doesn't she phase through the seat and fall to the ground, or for that matter, phase through the whole ship and fall into space? This is not the first time Star Trek has made this mistake. There was an entire TNG episode where Ro and LaForge were ghosts, but they could walk on floors, but pass right through doors and hallways and corridors. Well, obviously corridors, walls. They could pass through walls, but not through the floor. So it's not the first time they made this mistake. I'm not going to go too crazy on them, but it was worth noting. Yeah. Oh, one of the things that the man in black, Kovich, was saying during his talk with the doctor is that the doctor's like, well, why couldn't you send this time soldier back to where he came from? And Kovich says that would be a violation of the interdimensional displacement restriction, a part of the Temporal Accords, which is ironclad. In exactly what he said, ironclad. The Temporal Accords are so ironclad, they couldn't send somebody back to the dimension to which they came, even though they were suffering so horribly, they authorized euthanasia of the patient. And yet, discovery is allowed to remain. Nobody seems to care that they're time travelers. Nobody seems to be worried. How ironclad could the Temporal Accords be if discovery is allowed to exist? And nobody seems to care. I don't know. It seems a little wonky to me that this was so ironclad. They couldn't send one person back to where they rightfully belonged. They let him die, actually killed him, rather than see him live. But it's fine for an entire ship of almost 100 people to come through and bring with it a game-changing amount of data, which they haven't even looked into yet, into the future. So it seems a bit weird. So Admiral Vance and Saroo and everybody's talking. We hear about the cure being on Dannus Five. Admiral Vance wants to know, where is this planet? I'm like, why does it matter where the planet is? We hear it's on the edge of the Gamma Quadrant, or near the edge of the Gamma Quadrant, on the galactic rim, the outside of the galaxy. So technically, let's see, I think it's alpha, beta, gamma. So I think that would be the edge of the beta quadrant. I think it doesn't really matter, because the point is, discovery is a spore drive. It wouldn't matter where in the galaxy the planet is. Probably doesn't even have to be in the galaxy. This discovery could get there. It's going to take them the same amount of time, whether they jump to Dannus 5 or Kronos or Vulcan or Navarre or any other planet. It doesn't matter. Time is no longer an issue. Fine, whatever. So Saroo actually says, well, unfortunately, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the one, and we can't save Georgiou because the entire fleet is on yellow alert because the Emerald Chain is conducting military exercises, completely ignoring the fact that last week Saroo's the ship broke Admiral Vance's direct orders not to interfere. At no time do they get yelled at for violating his rule not to engage the Emerald Chain. Killy's great suggestion that let's have a non-Federation ship fire on Osira, completely useless, because we knew Osira wasn't going to buy that. I thought Tilly was doing that to explain to Admiral Vance why they fired. And like, well, it wasn't us, Admiral Vance. It was our pilot went rogue. No. Nobody cares what happened last week. Nobody cares what happened last week. Admiral Vance is actually saying, you know what? Even though Saroo says the needs of many outweigh the needs of the one, Admiral Vance is like, you know what? I maybe you guys should do this. Admiral Vance is all for it. He only wants to ask Michael one question, and Michael, are you gonna fuck up like you did last time and get everybody killed when you couldn't let what was her name? The robot lady. What was her name? Shit. I've got it here. Ariam's mistake. Last time you screwed up last season, you couldn't kill Ariam. Are you going to do that again? And Michael's like, no, because I couldn't kill Ariam last time and I put the whole ship in danger, then I'm the best person for this job because I will never make that mistake again. Yep. Okay, he's fine. He's like, you know what? I authorize this mission, and he tells Saroo, you guys go. We can handle the Emerald Chain, which they've been doing, obviously, for a long time. So, but before everybody else walks out, Saroo, stays behind so Admiral Vance can give him some advice. And Admiral Vance of Vance Refrigeration. There's only a few more episodes, people. It's never going to get old. Admiral Vance Refrigeration, tells Saroo, you know what, Saroo? I didn't like following rules when I was green, and he's like, but take it from me. If your crew sees you let one of them drown, they're never going to look at you the same way, and you're never going to look at yourself the same way. So one of your crew is drowning. You've got to go. You got to do this. Of course, that crew member is the genocidal maniac from the Mirror Universe who was bent on killing, genociding entire races. But now she came through and I don't know why. Why did everybody forgive her? Why did everybody forgive her? Why is Michael even talking to her? But this is not new to this episode. This has been a problem from going on. So, whatever. The Saroo saying they weren't going to go help her, it seemed like a really out of character moment for Saroo. Maybe he was trying to please the Admiral, and it's like, oh, look, I can, be an asshole to my crew. So he's really not being an asshole because she's not really part of the crew. But whatever. But this whole episode is going to have people acting out of character, and we haven't even scratched the surface. So they're going to go down. They black alerted to Dannus Five. They're going to go down to where the sphere data says to go to. So now we get a goodbye scene, this touching scene where Saroo comes over, and for some reason, Saroo says the most insulting thing. Let me get to it. Saroo says to Georgiou, I've learned as much from you as I've learned from our prime Georgiou. I would pull my hair out if I had any. Like, how? That is an extremely insulting thing. You served with Prime Georgiou for like 15 or 20 years. Years and years. Okay? She found you on Qapla, or whatever the fuck your planet's called. She rescued you when you built an intragalactic communication device from parts that fell off a passing spaceship. And she put you through the academy, and then she brought you onto her ship, and she taught you for well over a decade. Almost 2, I think. And in what, 6 months? What has it been? A year? You say you've learned as much from Mirror Universe genocidal maniac Philippa Georgiou as you did the woman who basically raised you as a son almost for half her life? No, you didn't. Okay? You certainly didn't learn. And if you did, the original Philippa Georgiou was a shitty teacher. So that was a supreme insult. I couldn't even believe it. And then Tilly comes in. It's like, you've been good for me. And Philippa shakes Saroo's hand. A species who a year ago, she was eating. She takes his hand, and they have a heartfelt, emotional, like a thank you. Like Georgiou is becoming non-mirror Georgiou somehow. And then Tilly comes, and she's like, and she hugs her. And earlier in this episode, not even a minute, 2 minutes ago in this episode, when they were in, maybe 5 minutes, they were in the mess hall. Georgiou was yelling at Tilly, said Tilly's going to get the entire crew killed, live up to her Killy name after all, and threw a plate of food on Tilly. 5 minutes later, they're hugging each other, and they're like, oh my God. And they're having this, like, this is not the same person. This is not the person you should be having this goodbye with. It doesn't make any sense that this Philippa Georgiou would even hug Tilly, would let Tilly hug her. But they do. They do. They have to have this touching goodbye. So they beam down to this empty, ice-ridden planet. And Georgiou's like, where the hell are we? And Michael's like, right where the sphere said we needed to be. And so they look around, and then Michael brings up her hollow tricorder and says, oh, it says we need to go this way. Well, if it says you need to go this way, why didn't you just beam there to begin with? Why didn't you just beam there to begin with? Because they needed to have a 10-minute trek through the ice and snow to reckon back to the first episode where Michael Burnham and Prime Georgiou were on the sand planet, making that big, stupid Starfleet emblem in the middle of a sandstorm that the ship couldn't read or see in any way whatsoever, and then come rescue them. So now they're walking through this ice just so they have this time to give exposition and talk and complain. But if they know where they're going, they could just tap their little fucking personal transporter and beam there. But no, we're going to walk for reasons unknown. They could have beamed down there to begin with. They could have beamed to the place originally, or they could have beamed there now because they have personal transporters. But no, we're going to walk through the woods or the ice just so that we can talk. And you know what? Guess what? When the conversation has come to its natural conclusion, we're going to magically be where we need to be. But in the meantime, back up on the spaceship, on Discovery, Adira and Stamets are still working on that distress call because, you know, everybody encodes messages in a distress call, and they don't know what the message is, and they're not going to the ship in distress, even though it's a distress call, because reasons. And so Adira has been working on her algorithm, and it's been stuck for hours and hours and hours, and Adira can't figure out why. And Stamets comes over and is like, hey, did you, reboot? And she's like, yeah, of course I rebooted. And he didn't say reboot. He said reinitialize, whatever. And she's like, well, he's like, well, did you press enter? And she's like, of course I pressed enter. He's like, I don't think you pressed enter. And she presses enter, and sure enough, it works. And all of a sudden, it finishes. It was at 99.9999%. It finishes its recreation, and we don't see what's on the screen for mystery reasons. And Adira is like, is that? And Stamets is like, oh my God. He's like, go get Saroo. Go get Saroo. And Adira runs off to find Saroo. You are on a Federation starship in the year 3189. There is an intercom. There has been an intercom on a Federation starship for 1,000 years. Just say, Saroo, you're requested in engineering. You press the button on the wall, you tap your communicator, whatever the fuck you do. You don't send somebody to run through the ship wildly looking for the captain. That has never been. I'm sure they don't even do that on naval ships today. It makes zero sense. But it gives reason to cut away to Saroo, who is walking down the hallway, and Booker comes over, and Book's like, hey, Saroo, I want to, I want to formalize my relationship with you and the ship. I think I'm an engineer. I'm a pilot. I'm an engineer. He's such an engineer. He let Michael fix his ship, who's a science officer, not an engineer last episode, but whatever. He's like, I'm a pilot. I'm an engineer, and I have information and my information is telling me the Emerald Chain is going to conduct military exercises soon. And Saroo's like, yeah, you already know that, you know. Who are your sources? He's like, my sources are couriers. I can't tell you exactly. And Saroo's like, listen, this is a United Federation of Planets. We have protocols. And I thought he was going to say, you're going to have to go to the academy, or you're going to have to go through training with Admiral Vance, or you're going to have to, you know, put in an official request at Starfleet to, I don't know how Starfleet takes members these days, but I thought that's what he was going to say. He's like, this is United Federation of Planets. We have protocols. You are just going to have to wait to prove yourself. But I'm sure your day will come when you can prove yourself. So apparently the way to enter Starfleet in 3189 is not to take a test, not to take years of schooling, not to take some type of training class, not to get your online certificate from the University of Vulcan, or Navarre, but to just wait around until you get a chance to prove yourself. Then you're in. Like Adira. I get confused. Adira, they, meaning the one, they didn't do any special training, although they were part of the Earth Defense Force somehow at 15. They just waited till they could prove themselves. And so basically Book has to wait till he can prove himself, because apparently whatever he's done so far, it just wasn't enough. He hasn't proven himself yet. So, yeah. And I'm sorry we already got past that scene, but we'll get back to it in a minute. But, so Michael Burnham and Philippa Georgiou, they're walking in the ice. The conversation came to an end. And Philippa's like, where the hell are we going? And Michael turns up her tricorder and she's like, I'm getting a life something reading. And Philippa's like, where? She's like, right here. And they turn and there's this guy sitting next to a door in a lawn chair that came out of your local, you know, Walgreens or CVS catalog. And he's got a cigar and its name is Carl. His name is Carl. He's like, who are you? She's like, who are you? I'm Carl. And Carl is my favorite character on Star Trek Discovery. He fancies himself a comedian, right? She's like, what's this door? And Carl's like, what do you call a cute portal? Adorable. Adorable. Oh, he's got more jokes. And he says, a clown held the door open for me. He was quite the jester. Carl is never-ending barrel of laughs. I honestly thought they did a crossover to the Twilight Zone. They come up on Carl on this door in this ridiculous scene in the snow. He's got a lawn chair and a plastic table and a cigar and a newspaper. And he's like, yeah, I'm here. So like he answers every question with a riddle or a joke. And he's reading the newspaper. And he's like, newspaper says you're dead. And she's like, but I'm not dead. Your newspaper's wrong. He's like, but this is the newspaper of tomorrow. So basically, Georgiou has to walk through the door. It might cure her. It might not. She might die. She still has on her green bracelet for some reason. And she walks through the door. And she's back in the mirror universe. And the Captain Killy is back. But there's a problem. She wants to hide her bracelet. She wants to hide her bracelet because God forbid anybody see her with a green bracelet. Look at Captain Killy. Captain Killy looks a little different from last time we saw her. And for those who don't remember what the last time we saw her she looked like, don't worry. This was Captain Killy in season 1. Okay? Everybody loved Captain Killy in season 1. This is Captain Killy in season 3. Why would they do this to this woman? Why? She can't be Captain Killy anymore. Why are they even doing this to this woman? I feel so bad. I feel so bad. Okay? This is what we remember. She was the high point of season 1. And this is a clown. This is a joke. This is worse than a joke. Oh my God. Oh my God. So Georgiou figures out what's going on. She realizes she didn't only go back to the mirror universe, she went back in time, apparently into her own body. This is the day that her new ship, the Charon, the new ship that she's that has the moon door out of Game of Thrones that she kicks Georgiou through. Not Georgiou. She kicks Lorca through. That's her new ship. It's being commissioned today. And so apparently Captain Killy and all the other people on Discovery are all on her ship. And basically it's a big trip to the mirror universe. From this point on, Georgiou just has to figure out. Georgiou wants to change history, because this is the day that she finds out Michael and Lorca are working together, and she doesn't want to have to kill her Michael Burnham anymore. So she's going to desperately try to change history. But weakness ends up getting you killed in the mirror universe, and she can't appear weak. If she appears weak, someone else will kill her. It's actually not bad, except for poor Captain Killy here. But we get the whole rest of the episode takes place in the Mirror Universe, and it appears a good part of next week's episode will also take place in the Mirror Universe. So it's not so bad. We're back at a time of the Terran Empire. Now Georgiou knows the future, so she knows that the Terran Empire will fall. She knows that Michael Burnham is going to betray her. She's going to have to kill Michael. She knows Lorca is going to betray her. She's going to have to kill him. So she knows when it's going to happen. But Georgiou Georgiou has become weak. Georgiou has now, because of her time with the USS Discovery and the real Michael Burnham, she's become moral. She has morals now. She doesn't want to just kill people for no reason. She doesn't want to act like the old Philippa Georgiou Empress. She wants to act like Philippa Georgiou their mirror, which is our prime universe. Like I said, completely out of character. This crew looks better. This crew looks more fun than the crew we actually have on the Discovery. So they call her Mother of the Fatherland, Overlord of Vulcan, Emperor of whatever, of Kronos, Augustus, Lamponis, Centaurus, all hail to the Empire. So they flat out say something of Rome. So yes, the Terran Empire in this universe goes all the way back to Rome. The Terran Empire, now I'm not saying Rome never fell in this universe, but they put their traces all the way back to Rome. And there it is. There is Mira Burnham, the person who Georgiou wanted to see for so long, the person who will betray her, Mirror Michael. And it's so good to see her, says Georgiou, even though she knows Michael is planning on betraying her. And look, even in the mirror universe, they got little robots. Even in the mirror universe, they got little robots. And this, don't forget, this is way back in 60 something. So yeah, we got the little robots even in the mirror universe, even before the events of Mirror Mirror. Even before the events of Mirror Mirror, the TOS episode, right? TOS, Mirror Mirror, yes. Even before the events of Mirror Mirror, they've got robots in the Terran Empire. Maybe this is what was supposed to destroy Star Trek as we know it. It doesn't. It's the mirror universe. I don't care. Stamets puts on a show. Like Stamets is an actor in this universe, and they do like a play. Like, you listen, if you're the ruler of a country or an empire, don't go to the theater. You seem to have a much better chance of being killed when you go to a theater than anywhere else. But she goes to the theater. She watches this play, and Stamets was about to stab her with a dagger. But even though she wasn't looking at him, she was looking the other direction. She just stabs him first because she knew he was coming. Oh, the Kelpians. Yes, the Kelpians are still food. So now the Kelpians are also slaves. But when they start dropping things, they have them sent to the butcher. And she notices Saroo happens to be there. She didn't realize Saroo was on her slave staff. And actually, she gave Saroo to Michael Burnham. Michael Burnham is the owner of Saroo, but Michael Burnham wants to have Saroo cooked as well. So she stops Michael from cooking Saroo and takes him back, and then makes Saroo her personal slave. And then so they go back to her chambers, and Saroo is brushing her hair. And she tries to talk to Saroo, and Saroo is honored and bewildered that she'd even know what the hell's going on about his ganglia and all this other shit. And so she wants Saroo to tell him what's really going on. So Saroo is explaining that you got to keep killing people. If you're showing weakness, the people around you think you're getting weak. That's why they're coming after you. And she's like, oh shit, really? Okay, you're going to be my new informant from now on. And yeah, so now basically she's making friends with everybody she should be killing. She's looking like she's getting weak. And by the end of the episode, Michael Burnham does try to assassinate her or whatever. But once she kills Stamets, you can tell the plot is off. Stamets was working with Michael and Lorca. So then Michael Burnham exits the show, and Captain Killy and all the loyal people loyal to Georgiou are waiting for her. And then Georgiou shows up, and Michael's like, you got me. And Georgiou just wants to know why, Michael, why would you do this to me? And Michael's like, you rescued me off the trash heap, but I was king of that trash heap. I want to go back. When I was king of the trash heap, I was somebody. Here, I'm just, your shadow. And nobody cares about me. Except for Lorca. Lorca loves me for who I am. Lorca loves me for who I am. These are the words she says. And so Michael just sits, she gets on her knees. It's like, well, you found me out. Now you got to kill me. So just go ahead and kill me. And Georgiou takes her sword, goes behind Michael, and just like she did on Discovery in the gym earlier, she takes the sword. Why are there swords in the gym? I don't know. She takes the sword and gets right to Michael's neck. Although in this scene, she actually does cut the neck just a little bit, and she stops. And she's like, nope, that'll be too easy. And then she orders her to be taken to the antagonizer, which is the booth where they just torture people, which I was kind of surprised they didn't do that to begin with, because what the hell is the point of putting somebody out of their misery so quickly when you could torture them for days on end and then kill them? That would really put the fear, because people don't really fear quick deaths so much as they fear pain. And so if you're really an emperor who is trying to control people with fear, you would torture the person before you just sliced off their head. And yeah, so that makes a hell of a lot more sense. But I have a feeling that's still going to be considered too weak for the Terran Empire, because they want to die. We're getting all this stuff about how Terrans inherently wake up every morning wanting to die. They greet the morning, hoping for death, Georgiou is like, you don't understand, Terrans welcome death. It's like the Terrans have become Klingons somehow, but they're not quite Klingons. And by the way, another episode where we don't see any Klingons. And don't get me wrong, I was happy because did I forget to say? I think I did. Well, we can go back to it now. So the message, the mirror universe really doesn't matter at this point to me. It ends. We're on a little bit of a cliffhanger for next week. No big deal. But back in the original, and we don't go back in the episode to the discovery once we hit the mirror universe. But before we went to the mirror universe, Adira, who was running around looking for Saroo, instead of calling him on the intercom, they finally get Saroo, and it turns out that the decoded message, why did they have to decode a distress call? God only knows. But the decoded message was a video transmission from a Kelpian ship, the KSF Kiev. The KSF Kiev. And when they said KSF, I thought, oh shit, they're bringing in the Klingons. And I thought, oh my God, that's a strange Klingon even for Discovery. No, it was actually a Kelpian woman. Of course, it's always a woman. A Kelpian woman who's actually, I was surprised Carl was a guy. That's why he's one of my favorite characters. He was a white guy with a cigar, and I was like, wow. But I think they just wanted to do a Twilight Zone spoof. I don't know. But so it was a woman, a Kelpian woman, who was captain of the KSF Kiev, registry number 971014 for whatever reason, broadcasting on all channels. So meaning that this isn't a hidden distress code, or shouldn't have been in any way encrypted. It should have just been visible to everybody, and that they're Kelpians. And Tilly's like, oh my God, she's already suffering radiation burns. And of course, Adira's great algorithm cuts off before the message ends. Right when she's about to say the very important thing, the message cuts off. And they're like, we're sorry, we couldn't get any more than that. Like, what the hell was the point? The only thing you really got was to say that she's Kelpian. So now Saroo's interest is super peaked enough to go to the distress signal. It is a distress signal, Saroo. No. Still not enough to go check on the distress signal, even though it would take you 0 time to get there. Time means nothing. Distance between places means nothing. No, he still doesn't want to go. But what Stamets can do is use the prefix code to backdoor in to the ship's sensors. And he can get an idea of what's going on the ship. And by the way, the Kiev was on a mission to explore a dilithium nursery that they thought was in the nebula. So they just happened to be searching for a dilithium nebula. Nobody's gone to check on the ship in hundreds and hundreds of years, or 100+ years, I should say. And Saroo still won't do it. This is the show they put on. Okay, it's a show in honor of Georgiou. It's interesting, but oh my God, Michael Burnham, Mirror Michael, and there's Mirror Detmer, Mirror Michael. We had Mirror Kolber. Look at those big guns. Slayer of Klingons, Daughter of Rome. This is where they call her Daughter of Rome. They welcome her to the palace ship. Open the curtains, and there it is. The flagship and new seat of power of the Terran Empire. And look at Michael. She's like, I want that ship. The Charon. She wants that ship. She can't have it. Maybe she will in this time. I don't know. But whatever. I don't care. So let's talk. Let's talk about something. And this goes back to the beginning of the episode. And it's a serious issue because this should be one of the first things that they have did. Okay? When they found out that Discovery's computer has the cure or potential cure for Georgiou, So, just to be clear, Admiral Vance knew their computer was sentient. And now the guy in black, Kovich, knows it as well. Michael Burnham flat out said that the Discovery has computed data that no other ship in the fleet has. They have data from before the burn, databases that were lost over time or destroyed in the burn. Discovery has a copy of all that data. Why didn't they give it to anybody? Why is this data only on Discovery? Discovery's most important contribution to the future is literally its data it holds. And I understand if you don't want to copy everything because, you don't want the AI spreading, but for Christ's sakes, copy over your old databases, fill in the Federation records from when you can. For whatever reason, they don't. Then there's also the problem of this AI. Wasn't the entire purpose of Discovery coming to the future to prevent a computer from obtaining artificial intelligence? And now it did. And they don't seem worried. And wasn't the whole part of the entire first season of Star Trek Picard to prevent the inevitable, an AI from forming that's going to contact mysterious AIs that are going to come in and destroy all organic life in the universe? Now, I know they don't know what Picard knows, although they didn't know it before they went to the future. But now that they're in the future, those people should absolutely know what Picard knew. And they should know we can't fuck around with AIs because AIs are going to, call the Kraken from some mystery dimension and they're going to wipe out all life. Nobody seems to care that there's an AI living on the Discovery computer. And worse, nobody wants any of that data. Data is like the most important thing in the world. Even today, it's all about data. It's all about data. Not data, not data, the Android data, meaning, data. Google lives for data. They live for your data. Why don't they give this data to other ships? God forbid something does happen to the Discovery. Not all of this data is lost forever. I don't know. All I know is that this actually wasn't a terrible episode of Star Trek Discovery. It has its faults, don't get me wrong. But I think in best episode of the season, which means part 2 is probably going to stab me in the chest and twist the knife, but I'm going to go with this unheard of 5 out of 10. 5 out of 10 for this episode. I love Carl. I love Carl. Carl made this episode. Okay? Poor Captain Killy. Oh my God. Why did they give... I don't remember the people in the Mirror Universe using so much, was it eyeliner? I'm not a makeup expert. But it's eyeliner, right? That's what they have around their eyes. Why are they doing so much eyeliner from Michael Burnham and Killy? I mean, oh my God. Poor Killy. Killy is not fit to wear what she wore in season 1. Just don't even have Captain Killy. Just say Captain Killy is off on a mission somewhere. Don't do this to the poor actress. Whatever. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this review. A lot less worrisome than I was. A lot less worrisome than... No, not worrisome. A lot less damage than I was warned about. Maybe it's all happening in part 2. So we'll know in a week. But this, not so bad. 5 out of 10. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you do, please remember to comment, like, subscribe. Check out the Bird will Prey 5X channel. The X is for extra and not anything else you might have heard. It's just extra content. And with that all, Qapla, take care. Bird out.